Good afternoon. Welcome to 2025 Tech 4 Conference. You're in the second session. We're doing our innovation workshop with Trinh Tran. Trinh and I go back a few years. I met him through IMCP as he was working with Microsoft at the time, and he was our sponsor for the IMCP chapter in the Dallas-Fort Worth and Tola region. Trinh and I have had lots of conversations about Microsoft and life and other things. And when I was putting together this conference, I thought of Trinh Tran when I saw that he was starting a new chapter after Microsoft. So, Trinh, I welcome you to Tech 4 Conference. I appreciate you issuing this workshop session for our attendees and ask you to share anything else about yourself that you like and get into your presentation. I do know
Yeah,
everyone that Trinh would like for questions to be held to the end. So when we get to that, I will activate your cameras and microphones for conversation at that time. But please use the chat for any interactions with me or anything that Trinh needs to know throughout the session. Trinh?
awesome. And Christopher, if you don't mind, can you moderate the chat for me? So
I will do that for you.
at the end of the meeting, that we can kind of bring up Q&A. I see that I'm the only one on camera. I will be on camera for now, but then when I present, I'll turn it off just so I can give you guys a better experience. So first and foremost, I'm going to share my slide deck, and I'm going to ask if you all can see it. So let me do this. It's been a while since I shared my desktop, so let me pray to the demo gods that it works.
I see it, Trinh. We're good to go.
Awesome. Okay. Well, first of all, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on if you're dialing in or watching a recording. And my name is Trinh Tran. I'm very happy to be presenting to you today. And the topic, as you can see here, is about learn to prompt for more effective generative AI. But I lied. It's really not about that. In fact, we're not going to talk about that at all. I'm actually going to talk about how prompting can be made easy. A lot easier than you think. So, allow me to introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Trinh Tran. I spent a good 2 decades of my professional career with Microsoft. Had a really great time, but I wear a lot of hats in my life. At home, I'm a husband and father. I'm also family tech support. I'm a stroke survivor as well. And my passions are around gadgets, technology, AI. I am a Copilot champ. And for the purposes of today's workshop, I will be using Microsoft 365 Copilot. Finally, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll find that I commonly post documents and content around accessibility and Microsoft. So the question you all have today is, why are we here? And I'm going to address that with you. I'm going to show you how we're going to use two tools. One you were born with, one that came with Windows to get great results from prompting. Because I found in my experience working with AI that there's a lot of resistance because not everyone wants to become a prompt engineer. So I have a litmus test. That test is my mom. And finally, when I go to the workshop, I'll be using Windows Dictation for AI. Now, originally it's a workshop. That's kind of misleading. This is more of a demo. We can't really do a workshop because once I get into Windows Dictation, you'll see why not all of us can do the workshop at the same time. Let's begin with, why exactly are we here? A lot of financial analysts and people in tech are saying that AI is the next iPhone moment. But what exactly does that mean? Does it mean we're going to get a new AI startup every few weeks? Does it mean that big tech stocks are going to go through the roof? To me, the iPhone moment means my 84-year-old mom can take pictures on her iPhone and send them to the family thread. 10 years ago, she would need a computer science degree to do that. What the iPhone did was it made technology accessible to everybody, at least everybody who had an iPhone. I believe AI is going to do the same thing, except now you're not limited by your iPhone. You're not limited by your device. You're only limited by your imagination. But when AI first came on the scene, people didn't get the results that they wanted. So people started learning how to prompt. In order to get the best results, you have to get the best prompt. And you can go on to YouTube, LinkedIn, and there are so many different opinions on how to get the best results, but you got to become a prompt engineer. Well, I'm here to say you don't. Because my mom, she's heard about AI. She wants to use it, but she doesn't want to become a prompt engineer. She simply wants it to work. And I figured out how to get it to work. So I'd like to introduce you all to Windows Dictation. Windows Dictation is a built-in accessibility tool. It's included in Windows 11. It's a speech-to-text interpreter. Windows Dictation was originally created for people who could not use their hands. They still wanted to interact with the computer. And then I realized Windows Dictation is a great tool to use with AI. It's natural because instead of thinking about prompting, you're simply having a conversation. You're using your voice, something you were born with, something that you've used your entire life. In terms of my mom, she's been using her voice for over 80 years, and now she can use it with AI. The best part about it, it works in her native language. English is not her first language, so AI is smart enough to interpret the language and understand it. And the best thing about it is it's natural. This is the iPhone moment. The person using AI doesn't have to learn anything new because, well, they can use their voice. And it simply passes the mom test. Hey, Christopher, where are you located again?
I'm in Edmond, Oklahoma, just north of the capital.
Is the capital Oklahoma City?
Yep, it is.
All right, so if I were to go to Oklahoma City and I'm looking for the nearest coffee shop, I'll open up Google and type in coffee shop near me. But Christopher, if I'm staying in Oklahoma City's Brickyard and I want to find the best latte that is in the area within a 5-mile radius from my hotel, from an independent coffee shop, I don't want to go to chains, where would I go? Now,
There's a common coffee shop of Empire, or you can choose Aspen.
Nice. I got to remember those. So, in the first example, people were using AI like a search engine and they weren't getting good results. In my second example, I'm asking a very detailed question. Again, I'm not thinking about prompting. I'm just simply asking a question. And then, of course, Christopher, you gave me very detailed answer. You gave me two actually. And that's the Montes. That's how I'm going to use AI today. Right, so now I'm going to go into my demo again. Because I'm using Windows Dictation, you'll see how I can't really do this at the workshop. So let me share this out. So let me share out Copilot here. Just give me a second. I'm going to share out Copilot and let me know when you guys can see it. So share this window. All right, share.
I see Copilot, Trin.
All right, so this is actually Copilot Chat. You'll know it's Copilot Chat because at the very top I can toggle between work and web. So here, in order to leverage Windows Dictation, you hold the Windows key down and hit H. Oh, you may have to do it a couple of times. You'll see an icon pop up in the lower left-hand corner, and anytime the microphone icon is light blue, it's recording everything you're saying and converting it to text. So here, you can see I'm just naturally speaking, And everything that I'm saying is going into a text box. In this case, the Microsoft Copilot search bar. Now, obviously, I'm not going. This is not my prompt. I'm just showing you an example of how this works. But let's say I actually want to interact with it. So let's do that. Tell me about elephants. First of all, so this is how people use AI at the very beginning. This is simply your RAG response. So RAG stands for retrieval, augmentation, and generation. So AI will retrieve information. You're telling me will augment the information and then generate the response. So here I see there are 3 types of elephants. It's telling me about the habitat, and I'm getting factual information. Pretty cool. Nothing new. Everyone's done this or seen this before. Okay, now I live in Dallas, so there's this big stadium nearby called AT&T Stadium. Tell me about AT&T Stadium. Right, same thing. It's gonna go RAG, retrieve information, augment it, and then generate the response. Located in Arlington, primary town is the Dallas Cowboys. That's great. Ooh, even tell them how much it costs. So nice. Again, nothing you haven't seen before. How many Asian elephants can fit on the field of AT&T Stadium? All right, now I'm doing something different. I'm not asking for facts. I'm actually asking for specific calculations. I did a search on Asian elephants. I did a search on AT&T Stadium. It looks like I got a response. 742 adult Asian elephants. So here we start to see how AI is working. But you know what? That's great. Uh-oh, I'm losing my focus. Let me put it back in the chat. That's really great. I'm really impressed that you got me the response, but show me your work. How exactly did you calculate that 742 elephants can fit on the field? I'm doing some homework with my kid, and I want to be able to give them the results. All right, so I got the answer, but I wanted to show its work. There we go. So now you can start to see how AI is different. It's not simply giving me factual information. It's going out there and it's actually analyzing the requests and outputting the data. So I can actually see the step-by-step instructions. And if I scroll down a little further, oh, it didn't give it to me. Oh, here it is. Okay. Can you simplify the equation so I can write it down? I did get the equation, but I want it in a better visual form. And there we go. Again, as you can see, I'm simply refining what it's doing. So let's call it an agent. Create me an image of elephants on the field of AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. So here I'm actually asking it to create an image, so it's going to invoke an agent. Oh, this is actually new. So on Friday, I did the same demo, but it was using the old DALL-E 3 engine, where it showed, it gave me 4 options to choose from. Now this looks like it's using the GPT-4 mini engine, or GPT-4o engine. So the results are a lot better, but it does take a little longer. So since we have to wait a little bit longer, let me pause for a second and kind of go back to what I'm talking about. The mom test is really the decision maker test. If you think about it, AI is all over the news. Companies understand that they want to use AI because they don't want to be left behind. But do you hear reports that AI is confusing or AI doesn't really get the results that they need? But the real reason is they really don't know how to use AI, or more importantly, they don't know how to get the right results. That's what I'm showing here. My simple conversation with AI, it kind of, the light bulb goes off. Decision makers or my mom finally realize that, oh, I should not treat AI like a search engine or a tool. I should treat it more like a human or an assistant, or in the case of a decision maker, what can AI do for my business that can be automated? What can I replace? So now the image is starting to generate here, and if you've ever been to Cowboy Stadium, that's what it looks like. If you've never been to Cowboy Stadium, that's what it looks like. It's even filling out the end zone, so you can see the Cowboys logo, and the Cowboys logo actually looks like that. So that's pretty impressive. It even has everything. So I'm actually pretty impressed. It's the first time I've seen this. That's really neat. So I did this part of the demo to illustrate how AI works, how it's different, and how it can invoke agents. But let's now take this into a business setting. I'm gonna start a new chat. So Copilot Chat is available to any customer who has the Entra ID, formerly known as the Azure ID. Now, the Copilot license costs $30 a month, and not every customer is going to want to buy and assign it to a user. You may have a lot of users that may be frontline workers, or in this case, I'll pretend I'm a seasonal worker. I've been hired on just for, help reduce the backlog from my manager, and he wants me to calculate the rate of inflation and present that to him over the past 10 years. So let's do that. Tell me the rate of inflation in the United States over the past 10 years and put it in a table. Again, I'm not thinking about prompt structure. I'm not thinking about the output, the result. I'm just saying, hey, here's what my manager wants me to do. So there we go. And there's my info. Yeah, that looks really nice, but that's kind of hard to visualize. So can you take the data in that table and put it in a line chart? Again, I'm just refining the conversation, following up. I'm not trying to create the perfect prompt. I'm continuing the discussion until I get the results that I want. So now you can see it's actually analyzing it. Again, this is not RAG. This is actual AI analyzation. It knows I want the annual rate of inflation. It knows I created a table. It knows now I want a line chart. And there's my line chart. Looks like in the early 2000s we had a hit, inflation went up. I do know that effect. Every time I go to In-N-Out Burger, my double keeps going up in price. So I cut and paste that into PowerPoint. I send it to my manager. He sends it back and says, "That's great, but what's the average?" Heck, you didn't ask me about average. Can you add a mean bar to this line chart? Now, for those of you who use Excel, you know that mean bar is an average. I'm not trying to be nice or mean. I just want to illustrate that particular calculation. And looks like it says I've added it, but it doesn't show it. Oh, beam. Okay, it's asking for clarification. It didn't understand me. Let's try that again. Can you add a mean bar or the average bar into this line chart? So in this case, the first time I did not get the results that I want. Again, I don't need a perfect prompt. I simply tell it, oh, it misunderstood me. Here's exactly what I want instead. And here we go. Now it understands what I want. There's my updated mean bar. It even gives me a key so I can see the average rate with 3.02%. Cut, paste, put it in PowerPoint. I get celebrated and I get a job. Isn't that great? All right. So now they give me the $30 license. So one of the biggest challenges that I've found today is working with C-level executives and telling them what Copilot is doing for them. There's a couple of questions or statements that I always make. You want a Copilot? You're trying to convince the CFO to buy it. Year 2 of Copilot, you're trying to convince the CFO to keep it. So if I can't show ROI, I'm not going to be able to keep Copilot. But we're talking about prompting. We're talking about getting results. So let's do that today. I'm planning a 3-day trip to Southern California in November. I'm going to be staying in San Diego, specifically the La Jolla area. Can you create me a 3-day itinerary? I want to go to cool places with lots of great restaurants. I also want to visit the San Diego Zoo and Balboa Park. I heard those are 2 really good places to go to. Also, can you check my chats and my emails over the past week and let me know who have I collaborated with? I think Christopher Cost is one of the people that I need to inform that I'm going to be leaving for 3 days on my vacation. All right, I'm not going to proofread this. I'm just going to hit enter because it's going to illustrate 2 things. Number one, AI is smart enough to interpret what I'm trying to do. There we go. There's my 3 days San Diego itinerary. It even told me where I can stay in La Jolla. Fun fact, kids, I've actually eaten at the college in La Jolla. Really good place. I didn't even thought I wanted to go. I didn't even know, but it's given me that information. Here's my ballpark and my food tour to San Diego, day 3. And now, here's the power of the Copilot license. Looks like I've been working with Christopher Goff. Great. Can you share Christopher Goff's information with me so I can reach out to him via phone and email? Again, I'm not thinking about the perfect prompt. I'm simply continuing my conversation. There we go. So, Christopher, you're on the call. Is that your information? Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
That's pretty cool. Now, I only contacted you, Christopher. I'm using a demo license, but imagine if you work for a bigger corporation. When I was with Microsoft, I did the same type of demo and workshop, but I collaborated with a lot more people in Redmond, so you can see the differences. And because I was speaking now, you all understand why I turned this into a demo instead of a workshop. All right, so let me go back to our slide deck. So can you all see this?
Yep, we're back to their demo.
All right, so what is the call to action? Very simple. Number 1, start using Windows Dictation. Now, most of the AI apps have their own speech to text interpreter. I like Windows Dictation because it's built into the OS, meaning I can use it with Copilot, I can use it with ChatGPT, I can use it with Gemini, I can use it with Claude. It all works the same. Windows H. Next thing, use your native tongue. Again, my mom, English is not her first language, but Vietnamese is. So she speaks to her computer in Vietnamese. That does really 2 things. Number 1, it kind of shines a light on how powerful AI is. It can understand multiple languages, but also it makes it more accessible and easier to use for somebody that may be intimidated by technology. The third thing is, don't think about prompting, just talk. In the demo I gave you all, I wasn't thinking about prompting. I wasn't thinking about my subject, my topic, my output. I was simply having a conversation and refining it. And again, the mom test is really the C-level executive test. If I can convince my mom, I can also convince a decision maker as well. All right, Christopher, that leads us to our Q&A section. So at this point, I will. Oh, you know what?
Yeah, I've already unlocked everybody's cameras and microphones, so I'm going to invite you to turn your cameras on and come off of mute at your personal preference if you'd like to ask Trin any questions or have any conversation with him. And Trin, in the chat so far, the only thing we talked about was maybe that AI image shouldn't have included lettuce in a fruit bowl.
Was there a lettuce in a fruit bowl? I didn't see that. Oh, this silence is it's killing me here. Let me see. Jim Long. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Justin Psycho, what are your thoughts? Can they unmute Christopher?
I have unmuted everybody.
All right, maybe you can hear me now, Trin.
There you are.
All right, yay.
I love the speech to text. I've always thought that would be a great way to interact with AI, and I've never seen anyone actually do it. So kudos to you for doing that, and loved how you did it. Loved how you did not proof anything. Because especially in the last couple, I saw that it didn't necessarily interpret your speech perfectly, but it still gave you the exact right answers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very powerful. Great job.
Yeah, I love that too. And someone like me, where my speech isn't perfect, or my mom who doesn't speak English well, AI knows. It's pretty cool. And that's where people start to understand what AI is and what it's not. So if you treat AI like a search engine, you're not going to get the results that you want. In fact, when Copilot was first released, a lot of feedback that we got was that it doesn't work. What we realized was there were a bunch of people buying 1 or 2 licenses, and they were giving it to IT. And of course, IT really doesn't use AI the way they should. I find that the best results come from the executive assistants for managers. I mean, if you give them a Copilot license and enable note taking, it makes their job so much easier. It's incredible. It's really great. And I see Copilot is not really a tool for tech, but it's a tool for HR. It really is that tool, AI in general, where you can take the business problem that you're trying to solve and turn it into something more tangible. And I think all of us who are on this call, that's kind of the biggest issue we have today, right? How can I prove that what I'm paying for is really giving me a return on investment? How do I know if I purchase AI a solution, I'm really going to save money, make money, or reduce costs? Those are the main questions.
So Trin, in the chat, Maria asks or states that she struggles with Excel, and then she asks, can you go over some other ways to use Copilot for people that really struggle to even start a workbook? Templates are never very helpful for her, and she was hoping colleagues lot can really help me.
Yes, in fact, okay. Maria, I will tell you right now. So Copilot keeps getting better. When it first released, Excel was crap. I'll be the first to admit. The only thing that worked was demos, but now it works really good. I'll give you an example. I had to submit a spreadsheet of email addresses internally. I forgot what the reason was, but I had their first and last name only, but they wanted their email address. So I tell Cobot, create me a column, take this column and this column, add the 2 values together, and then append at Microsoft.com and separate the names by a period. And it did it. Just through natural language. I told it exactly what I wanted. So, like the demo that I gave you, how you're not thinking about prompting, you're just telling what you want. I encourage you to do the same with Excel. Tell what you want. Hey, I'm trying to calculate Mike Smith's report, or I'm trying to do this. Create me a column and do that. It will do it. It's pretty impressive. In fact, Maria, I'll put you on the spot. What are you trying to do in Excel?
And I apologize for the background noise. So what usually it's either reporting or chat. So with what we do with in GRC, I'm always trying to do reports or do different calculations for different things. And I just, like I said, I struggle even for presenting things like the worksheets that I created. I struggled with starting those and how to format cells and how to make it, sometimes it's even how to make it look the way I want it to look. Um, I can't get things aligned sometimes, or I get formulas a little bit wrong and they take me so long. So it's, for me, it's a little bit of everything. And Christopher, you'd like to, that you've experienced having to help me troubleshoot, and add to any of that.
You know what I find very handy is I state what I'm not getting. Right, I'll tell you, hey, I'm trying to do this, but I can't get it to work. And then I tell it what I want it to do. And so AI is smart enough to know that. It said, okay, this is not what you want. Instead, this is what you want. It's going to do it. So I would encourage you, tell it first what you're trying to do and where it's not working, and then tell it what you want it to do. And then get back to me and let me know the results.
Kevin said in the chat that he started using AI for most of his searches, and it's amazing having a conversation. As he's learning more and more about topics, he loves that it's suggesting areas where he never even considered talking about those things. Is there anything you want to add on that, Trin?
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to build upon that because that is the key, the conversation piece. So it's one thing to say, have a conversation with AI. It's another thing to actually have a conversation with AI. Windows dictation makes it natural. Like, I'm speaking to you, Christopher, as if you're a human being. I did the same thing with AI. I speak to it and get the results that I want. If I don't get the results the first time, I refine it. I tell it, hey, that's great, but that's not what I want. Or in the case of the elephants, I tell it, hey, show me your work. How did you get to that? Because I'm not looking for that answer. So if I tell somebody have a conversation with it, it's one thing. But if I tell it to actually have a conversation truly with their speech, it changes the game entirely.
One of the things I've learned in my interactions with Copilot and ChatGPT and Claude and others are it easily loses track of its own thought processes. And sometimes you have to spend time and just go into a conversation prepared to be annoyed with having to remind it of what you asked it to do to begin with. Any specific recommendations there, Trin?
Yeah, I always say guardrails. That happens to me all the time. I'll be very specific. So we'll talk about prompting. What we learned about prompting is you have to be very specific. So when I'm having a conversation, I'm also very specific. I'll give you all a real world example. After I left Microsoft, I was looking for where I wanted to go next, and I used ChatGPT to help me prep. I was really specific. It's like, here's the company I'm interested in. Here's the job description. Here's the responsibilities. Now, act as a recruiter and ask me questions based on my resume and the job description. So the guardrails that I set was, number one, you're in the role of a recruiter. Number two, limit your questions to the job description, the responsibilities, and my resume. So therefore, Christopher, it's not allowed, or in the case that I'm asking it, I'm telling it specifically, here's the criteria that I want. Now, if I were to create the perfect prompt, I'd be thinking, okay, you're a recruiter, do this, do this, do this, do this. But instead, I simply tell it what I want. Hey, I need help for an interview. Take this, take this, take this, put it all together, and ask the questions. Now, true story. I did this a number of times. I was on a call with the recruiter. The recruiter asked me the same questions that ChatGPT prepped me for. It was actually kind of scary. It was really neat. Um,
Cool. Mary Elizabeth said that Copilot has helped her get started with some PowerPoint decks, and it's also been very helpful with what she calls awkward how-to questions as she's developing her decks. Any insights or guidance there?
Yeah, I'll start by saying the same thing about Excel. At the very beginning, Copilot for PowerPoint wasn't that good, but now it is. I like using Copilot for PowerPoint to kind of get me started, but honestly, I'm such a control freak that I want to do everything myself. In fact, I joke around. It takes me like 2 hours to create content and then 2 days to format it because I want to make sure everything's formatted perfectly. And I do the same thing with Copilot. I just have it get me started, and then but in the end, I end up doing everything myself.
So how about, me adding on to this question myself, using Copilot from within PowerPoint or Excel versus going back to the chat version?
Uh, what do you mean? Can you give me an example?
Well, I know that, if I were going to be working on an active PowerPoint or an active Excel, the Copilot is right there in my tool and I can interact with it. But if I
Yes,
wasn't going to start there and I'm just, getting started, like your example, having to do the inflation statistics report,
yeah, yeah.
balancing out when to go to a conversation in the chat and then where you might want to still revert back to that over using the built-in Copilot within the productivity apps.
Yeah, that's a great question. Copilot within the productivity apps are going to be specific to that productivity app. Copilot and Copilot Chat can be used for anything. So, what I would do is I would use Copilot Chat to create an outline or give me ideas, and then I would take those ideas and put them into Copilot for the app itself. Um, Copilot with the app is going to be only for the app. It won't understand what to do with Excel or if you're in PowerPoint or Word if you're in Excel.
Okay, and then, just for any service providers that might be on the call or listening to this on social media later, what about any of the agents inside of Azure or services that you call, Copilot for Defender or whatever it might be throughout the whole Microsoft ecosystems? Any insights on those for the service providers?
Yeah, I'll give you the Microsoft response. I'm sorry, Christopher, that's out of scope for this workshop. No, actually, I don't know.
No, fair enough. So,
Yeah.
so Marcia asked in the chat, she first says it's super interesting, but then she says, can you give some insights on how she might want to manage conversations?
Is it Marsha?
Yeah, Marcia.
Can you be more specific? What do you mean by that? Marcia, you're on mute if you're speaking, but can you kind of give me more details?
So it looks like she typed it in there. So what is the best practice for new or reusing?
Okay. Um, well, depending on the chat program you're using, I can talk Chat GPT because it actually keeps a list of your conversations on. In fact, here, let me share it out. I'll show you guys. So, um, here I'll share out Chat GPT. So on the left here are all my conversations that I had. So here we go. So looks like I play a lot of Pokemon Go. I'm not embarrassed to say it. So I was asking, hey, what can I evolve Floret do? So I can now continue this conversation right here. I can just keep on saying, okay, here, let's do this. Can you create me, or actually, no. Can you show me an image of what Floret looks like when I evolve it? Again, notice I created myself. I'm not trying to create the perfect problem. I'm having a real conversation. There it goes. It went up and it pulled the data for me. So because ChatGPT saves my chats, I can manage it that way. I can simply look for what was the last thing I did. Let me see. Evolving Floret. Rewrite LinkedIn post. Dragon Escape. Okay. there's a lot of Pokemon Go stuff in ChatGPT. Please don't judge me. That's just what I'm doing. So, here's where I was creating a logo for some PowerPoint slides. I wasn't happy with that. Here, I'll give you an example. See, if I create a PNG image, it did that. It gave me the wrong logo, so I uploaded the right logo and said redo it with this logo, and it did it. Again, it keeps all my chat history, so I can just go back and see where I was and where I left off.
Cool. So one of the things that I've learned, Trin, is sometimes I want to get a fresh thought on something. I've actually had to tell Copilot completely ignore anything we've ever talked about, and any best practices or suggestions on how to, more effectively do that beyond just deleting conversations, but really being able to get a fresh perspective that's not influenced by maybe some misdirection that a previous conversation went?
Yes, you can clear your Copilot history. Now it's a little difficult to find. It's under my account in privacy settings. So if you are logged into any of your Microsoft 365 apps, in the top right hand corner you'll see your logo or your name or your initials. Click on that and choose my account. And then when my account, go into privacy settings, and you can delete your Copilot history out of that.
Okay, cool. So we've got a little bit of time left. Does anybody have any questions for Trin? Is there anybody that maybe has not yet started using one of the AI tools, whether it be Copilot or ChatGPT, but might want to, have some getting started questions, or maybe you're using these, you'd like to have some guidance on better way to use it? Got somebody typing something in the chat, so let's see what that is. Carla does say, how do you start using it? So you want to give some best practices or where to go and get started with, Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever?
Yeah, I would say all of it's free. You can download ChatGPT. I pay for the license, but it's up to you. I think Copilot is free as well. It's you can get started by just using it.
Okay, Mary Elizabeth said she's paid the $30 for the license, and other than talking to it in Edge and in the productivity apps, she's not sure where to get started. So, if you're using Windows 11, Microsoft Copilot's built in and ready to go unless you've manually removed it or disabled it. So you should be able to just go to your Windows search and type in Copilot and find the Microsoft Copilot. You can also go to chatgpt.com and interact directly without setting up a license for ChatGPT if that one's of interest to you. But Mary Elizabeth or Carla, are there any more specific examples of, where you might want to get started beyond knowing where to access the agent or the website? Carla's typing up. This is the fun part when you give people a chat opportunity. Can it be a good tool for how to continue forward in your business? So, Trin, go ahead.
Yeah, I love that question because I like to answer that question with another question. Because this is what I see in real life, right? Again, everyone wants to use AI, so my question back is, what is your business goal? Because if I don't understand exactly what the business does, I don't know what AI can do for it. And I was speaking to one of my former colleagues, Kevin Martin, and he said, a lot of times customers come in, they say they want AI, but the truth of the matter is they need something else. They need automation. They need something that AI is maybe too much for them. The key here, though, is you have to have that conversation, or more importantly, ask the right questions. Because at the end of the day, it's all about what is ROI? Why am I paying this much? Whether it's a Copilot license, a ChatGPT license, why am I hiring a company to build me a custom AI solution? Well, the answer is depends on what your company is doing and what it's trying to do. If the company wants to implement AI just because everyone else is doing it, they're going to waste their money and they're going to fail. And that's where guidance from people on this call are really needed.
Carla, is there a specific question you would like to potentially ask an AI tool to see what kind of information you get from it that you'd be comfortable sharing with Trin? So while she answers that, Kevin says to everybody, he uses Copilot all the time. Imagine you have an RFP to respond to. Ask Copilot to analyze your business or past RFPs and responses. Then ask Copilot to use that knowledge to draft a response to the new RFP. He says the draft will not be perfect, but it'll be 80% ready and saves you hours and hours of work. It's a fantastic tool for creating a starting point and alleviate a lot of the mundaneness that you might have to do in your own research efforts.
You know, that brings up two good points I want to address. It's a starting point, right? You should never submit the results without reading it because it's not always going to be accurate. You have to review it and you have to read it. The second point is it does save time, but saving time is not solving a business problem. If I go to a decision maker and say, look at all this time everyone's saving, the first question they're going to have is, well, what are they doing with that free time? Are they watching more YouTube? Are they going out with their friends? So it's so important to always tie back what the actual business value the AI is doing. If it's simply saving time and people are having a better working life balance, that's only a small portion of why AI should be implemented. If you don't tie it back to business value and what the company is doing, it's going to fail.
Cool. Kevin's following up with his best advice is just start using it in PowerPoint. Ask it to create a presentation based on a Word document. He says, wow, the results are amazing and how professional the presentation will look. Again, it's not perfect, but wow, will you have a great presentation to now edit? Mary Elizabeth offered a great insight. And you know, Trent, this might be one of those rare exceptions to saving time, solving business problems. But Mary Elizabeth says, I asked it how to do ABC and it reminded me based on some of my documents and some of my emails that I had already solved that problem in 2008. So it just saved her from redoing and reinventing the wheel all over around again.
That's fantastic. I love that. In fact, that happens pretty often. You'll uncover things that you've done before, and it'll save you personal time because it's kind of like, yeah, I remember doing it that one time, or I sent that email that one time, and you'll find it. It's pretty cool.
Yep. So Carla's follow up with her clarification. She says information towards getting people to work for you and spreading your business to different areas in OKC. So, you know, a little bit backstory here. I know Carla. I invited her here, Trin. She's in the process of becoming, you know, a devoted entrepreneur, focusing on a service business that she's trying to learn about being in business. She's trying to learn about growing that business, and she's obviously learning all the various things that come along with that. So right now, her focus is heavily on, you know, learning to be part of becoming an employer, hiring your first employees, and then getting your business to grow, finding things. And I think, you know, one of the great use cases there would be it can do some basic market research for you much more effectively than you can yourself when you say, hey, this is what I'm doing and what I want to do, right? Can you maybe show us a little bit of how she might want to go down that path with AI?
Absolutely. I think the best thing to do is as most people are saying, AI will save you so much time. I would do exactly that. Use ChatGPT, use Copilot, and say, hey, I'm starting my own business. I've never run a business before, and I'm interested in knowing, you know, what are some things I need to know, or how should I market myself? And having these conversations with AI will give you great results. Tell it, I've never hired employees before. Or, do I need to understand what benefits are? Do I need to draft the business plan? Do I need to go to a bank to get a loan? These things are great for just bouncing questions off of. I mean, if your mentor is not there to help you, AI never turns off. AI is available 24/7 365 days a week.
Cool. Any other follow-up questions or thoughts from anybody? Carlos says, thank you, Trin. Kevin appreciates and says, thank you. So if there are no further questions, then I believe we are ready to move on to
Christopher,
the rest of our day.
can I do one small plug?
Absolutely.
For those of you who are a part of IAMCP, I will be the featured speaker on Thursday in the TOLA meeting. Topic is totally different, but if you guys like the content you saw today, you would like to kind of understand more of what I'm doing and some of the great companies that I'm partnering with, please attend.
And again, follow up with Trin, connect with him, follow him on LinkedIn, and I am sure that you're going to always be enlightened by his expertise.
One other small plug. I think I'm 4 followers or connections away from hitting 4,000. So please be the next person.
Yeah, there you go. I'm reposting his contact information so that anybody that joined the chat later after I posted it will see it here in the end. So Trin, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Very insightful and helpful, and look forward to future collaborations.
Cool. Thank you all. And thank you, Chris, for the platform. Bye now.
Yep. Bye-bye.